I drank peyote in the desert, and something found me. I didn't go into this lightly. I'd done mushrooms, LSD, one terrifying night on DMT that I still don't have words for. But peyote felt different, sacred, serious, not something to pop for fun and wander through the woods. A friend of mine, Elias, had gone through a guided peyote ceremony in New Mexico a year ago, and when he told me about it, something inside me lit up. Not excitement, something deeper, like a key finally finding the right lock. It took 6 months of asking, vetting, and waiting, but I was eventually invited to join a small group ceremony out in the desert near Taos. Not a commercial retreat, not a tourist trip, just 6 people, a guide named Ramon, and a fire. I took a bus from Denver and met Elias at a gas station where the pavement seemed to give way to raw earth almost immediately. We drove out in silence for about 2 hours, then hiked the final mile into a rocky canyon where the land curved in on itself like a great fossil. That night, under a sky littered with so many stars, it looked artificial. We gathered around the fire. No phones, no lights, just the wind, the smell of sage, and the quiet sound of Ramon praying in a language I didn't recognize. The peyote was served as a thick, bitter tea, greenish-brown and gritty, like it had been scooped from the roots of time itself. It tasted like wood and rust. Everyone drank in silence. Ramon said nothing after, just poked the fire and sat cross-legged. I waited for something to happen. For the fireworks, the pulse, the familiar come-up waves of psychedelics. But peyote doesn't arrive with a fanfare. It crawls in slowly, like warm hands pressing on your back. After an hour, I began to feel heavy, grounded. My heartbeat slowed. My thoughts stretched. I closed my eyes and saw threads. Not colors. Threads, woven and infinite, stitched through all things. My hands no longer felt like mine. My name lost meaning. Then I opened my eyes and everything breathed. The rocks, the fire, the people around me, all gently rising and falling, as if the desert was one giant animal we were sitting inside. I could feel the canyon's pulse. It wasn't symbolic. It was literal. The stars overhead blinked in patterns. Ramon began to sing, low, wordless chants that seemed to bend the wind itself. I looked down at the fire and realized it wasn't fire. It was a mouth, yawning and ancient, chewing the wood into light. I remember laughing, not because it was funny, but because my chest was too full of emotion to hold it in. Not joy, not fear, just magnitude. I turned to Elias to speak, and his face was not his face. It had been replaced with something older, something weathered and stone-like, his eyes glowing with a faint blue light like stars buried in water. He looked at me and I heard a voice, not aloud but in my spine, say, "You are late." I didn't know what it meant. I tried to reply, but I had no mouth. My body had melted into the sand. I was the ground. I could feel scorpions crawling miles away. I could taste wind from 1,000 years ago. I sank inward. Time disappeared. There was no then, only now, folding over itself like waves on black sand. I became aware of a sound like a flute made of bone. I felt myself rising, like smoke, towards something massive above the fire. A shape, a presence. It had no name, no face, just weight. Like a thought too large to be held. It hovered over the fire, and when it turned toward me, I felt my bones curl inward. It wasn't evil, but it wasn't kind. It simply was. I remember thinking, this is the thing beneath all things. It looked through me, not into me, through me, as if I were a thin veil covering something it had seen 1,000,000 times. It whispered something into my chest, and I collapsed forward into the dirt. I think I was crying, or vomiting, or both. Someone was next to me, rubbing my back. It might have been Ramon. It might have been the canyon. I said the word mother over and over until it lost meaning and became vibration. I saw my grandmother in the smoke. She didn't say anything, just looked sad, not disappointed, just tired. The fire turned blue. The mountains bent inward like they were listening. I saw faces in the rocks, not hallucinated, revealed. Dozens, hundreds. Every stone had a soul. Every gust of wind carried voices. At some point, I remember crawling into a small crevice near the canyon wall and hiding like an animal. I wasn't scared. I just didn't want to be seen. I stayed there until the sky lightened from pitch black to charcoal gray. Someone called my name, maybe twice, and I emerged covered in dust, unsure how long I'd been gone. Elias smiled at me like we'd shared a joke we'd never tell. Ramon handed me water. I drank it like I was just learning how. The group sat in silence around the fire, which had burned down to glowing bones. No one said a word. The sun rose. I felt my skin for the first time in hours. It fit differently, like it wasn't the one I arrived in. My thoughts were slow, not dull, deep, like the bottom of a cave. The ceremony ended sometime around noon. Ramon finally spoke, softly, thanking the land and the spirit of Peyote. We all echoed it, though I barely understood what I was saying. That night, back at the trailhead, I laid in a tent and stared at the canvas above me. The stars were gone. The wind was just wind. But something inside me had shifted. Not broken, not healed. Just turned, tilted, realigned. I had no visions, no answers. Just the memory of being seen by something vast and eternal. I haven't done peyote again since. Not because I'm afraid, because I think it's still in me, somewhere deep, curled like a seed waiting for the next fire.